As I sit here, trembling fingers tapping out the words on my keyboard, I feel the weight of every syllable pressing down on my soul. This is not a tale crafted for entertainment. This is my reality. A nightmare that has woven itself into the very fabric of my existence. It began innocuously enough, a routine trip to the grocery store on a dreary Wednesday afternoon. The sky was heavy with rain, and the streets were slick with the remnants of a downpour that had long since passed. I navigated the familiar turns, the comforting sights of my neighborhood guiding me like old friends. But as I loaded my groceries into the trunk of my car, a sense of unease settled over me like a shroud. It was subtle at first, a nagging feeling that something was amiss. I chalked it up to fatigue, the stresses of daily life manifesting in the form of paranoia. But as I pulled out of the parking lot and onto the deserted street, I realized with a sickening jolt that I was no longer in familiar territory. The buildings that lined the street were twisted and contorted, their windows gaping black voids that seemed to swallow the feeble light of the street lamps. The roads twisted and turned, leading me deeper into the heart of this twisted labyrinth. Panic clawed at my chest as I frantically checked and rechecked my surroundings, searching for some semblance of familiarity in this sea of alien architecture. But it was not the buildings that filled me with dread. It was the inhabitants that lurked within their shadowed recesses. Figures, tall and gaunt, with skin stretched taut over their skeletal frames, watched me with eyes devoid of warmth or humanity. They stood motionless, their gaze following me as I stumbled through the twisted streets. Their presence a silent testament to the horrors that lurked in the darkness. I tried to scream, to call out for help, but the words died in my throat, choked off by the suffocating grip of fear. Each step I took felt like wading through quicksand, my progress slow and agonizing as I struggled to make sense of the nightmare that had engulfed me. Hours passed, or perhaps days. Time seemed to lose all meaning in this twisted realm. But just as despair threatened to consume me entirely, a glimmer of hope pierced the darkness. A familiar street sign loomed in the distance, its letters a beacon of salvation in the sea of despair. With renewed determination, I pressed forward, each step bringing me closer to the safety of home. And as I rounded the final corner, my heart soared at the sight of my neighborhood stretching out before me, a sanctuary in the midst of chaos. But even as I stepped onto the familiar pavement, a cold chill crept down my spine, a lingering reminder of the horrors I had witnessed in the depths of the unknown. For I knew that though I had escaped this nightmare, its memory would haunt me forever, a specter lurking in the darkest corners of my mind. And so, dear reader, heed my warning. Tread carefully in the twilight hours, for in the shadows lurk horrors beyond imagining, waiting to ensnare the unwary in their tangled web of fear and despair.